Hi, I'm Nathaniel Rumpeljans from ZeldaInformer.com, and I am here today to talk about recruitment. Zelda Informer is hiring. We're actually always hiring and accepting applications, but at this point, we're trying to gear up for things such as Ocarina of Time 3DS and Skyward Sword. In addition to that, we would also like to expand what our site does in general. Now, if you go to ZeldaInformer.com, recently we've been putting a couple polls up. The last poll that we had before the current one showed that people really come to Zelda Informer for two main reasons right now: news and articles. Period. All the other stuff we do, while there was some fans for it, essentially without news and articles, Zelda Informer doesn't exist. So number one, we're hiring people to do more news and articles. I work a full-time job Monday through Friday. So I don't really always have the time to keep Zelda Informer as updated as I would like. And what does that mean? I prefer, ideally, at ZeldaInformer.com, for there to be roughly 3 updates a day. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the dinner time slash evening. This gives people reason to come to our site repeatedly through the day. It keeps us active on a daily basis, and really it just gives us something to do. I'm a Zelda fan. I need something to do. So, but when I work a full time job, sometimes it's really hard to pull that off because I'm working, and when I get home, sometimes the last thing I want to do is sit down and spend an hour, or a half hour, or 10 minutes even, typing up a news post. And I want our news post to become higher quality, which is harder sometimes for me to personally pull off when I'm really tired and disinterested in what I'm doing at the time. I know. It sucks. So we're looking to hire more news posters. In addition, we need more article writers. We have 3 main staff. Well, it's really 2 main staff on the site that write articles that aren't me, and I write articles really sparingly. So we need article writers. For both of these positions, you need to have really good grammar skills, and because of the grammar skills, preferably be 17 plus. Generally, no offense to the younger fans, but most kids or young adults or teenagers under the age of 17 tend to not be as good with grammar as they think they are. They might be really good for their age, but people that tend to have graduated high school, or have a little bit of college experience with writing, tend to be better writers. Now, all of this is volunteer, so just keep that in mind as I go on for the rest of this. I can't force anybody to do work at the site. I just hope that you want to do the work. So what else do we need? We need video editors. We need walkthrough writers, in-depth walkthrough writers. That is what fans have been calling for next at Zelda Informer. As our next big feature is walkthroughs, in-depth textual walkthroughs. So we're going to be providing in-depth textual walkthroughs. So we need walkthrough writers. We need video LP type people. Let's play. We need some people to do that sort of stuff for our YouTube channel. Not, I'm sorry, not as much as I would like to advertise other people's YouTube channels. We literally like to keep a lot of things in house. We can help advertise your channel, but we still would like the Let's Play, or we don't even want to call them Let's Play, the Zelda Informer visual walkthroughs to be on the Zelda Informer channel. And we'll just link up to whatever channel you want from our channel, and then through that you'll gain more subscribers, supposedly. Anyways, outside of that, we are also hiring artists. What do I want these artists to do? Basically, it's always been a dream of mine with game content, which we haven't really focused on at Zelda Informer, but now that we're doing walkthroughs, it really comes to the forefront. I want artists to create character art, enemy art, bosses. Official art is all great. In-game screenshots are great too, but sometimes it's a little bland, and it's nice to give a little more artistic flavor to this sort of stuff and give our own unique perspective. Like when you go get a walkthrough when you buy the game, from Prima Guides or whatever. It always has a bunch of art in it that you haven't seen before that makes everything more visually appealing. And that's kind of what I want to aim for with our walkthroughs on our site. I want them to basically be an extension of buying an actual walkthrough guide. So that's That's my goal. We're if you've seen walkthroughs at like Zelda Dungeon, we're talking about doing walkthroughs of that kind of quality. Um, with some obvious differences to make it all unique and home for us. Because we're not Zelda Dungeon, and I don't want to pretend that we're Zelda Dungeon. But yeah, so we're looking for walkthrough writers and video editors slash LPers. We also are looking for artists to create that unique art. And really, after that, it's really just whatever unique skill set you think you can bring to help improve our site. Maybe that is simply creating the podcast. We used to have a podcast. It was mildly successful. I was the person that organized it, and it's really hard for me to keep myself spread so thin to keep a podcast going when it's not my full time job. I mean, someday, if Zelda Informer grows big enough, it can become my full time job, and then I can dedicate all my time to all the various aspects of the site. But for now, we need editors, we need people who can put together an audio podcast. Would like to be in an audio podcast. Sometimes bring me or some of the other staff into a podcast, create interesting. Discussion, be good at editing the audio themselves to put the podcast together, able to put the podcast on iTunes. Something I failed at in the past because I had a really hard time trying to create an RSS feed for it. The ability and skill set to do that, and really just the ability to make it all entertaining. We want our podcast to be as entertaining as possible, to be as much about Zelda as possible, and to happen as often as is reasonably possible. Not like weekly, but at least once a month. Maybe more if we have more interesting stuff to talk about. So that would be great. And after that, really, like I said, just any unique aspect you think you can bring to the site would be great. Now, it is all volunteer. I said this before, and I'll say it again. I can't force anybody to do work, but there are benefits to working at Zelda Informer. Outside of having your work appreciated by not just the staff that we have, but by the fans. And to give you an idea, we have roughly 3,000 to 4,000 viewers a day right now. And a lot of our content gets even more views than that. You can see some of our YouTube videos that have gotten up to 15,000, 20,000, 50,000, 300,000 views. So we even go beyond just what the normal daily viewership is. But the point that I'm making there is that your work's going to get appreciated, but going beyond your work being appreciated, this stuff looks great on resumes. Zelda Informer is considered essentially a more professional Zelda site in that we get a lot of recognition around the internet. We get featured on the front page of Dig, 2 to 3 times a year, which is something that no other Zelda fan site has been able to match to this point. We've been featured on Kotaku several times. We get featured on Go Nintendo. We've had other sites like Zelda Universe and Zelda Dungeon recognize some of our material. We've had posts at places like Destructoid, and I think we even had a brief mention at 1UP, if I recall. So the point is that we get a lot of recognition around the internet. Even at foreign sites, there's a lot of really popular foreign sites that have posted about some of the stuff that we're doing, some of the news that we posted, some of the material we created. So we have a far extending reach across the internet, and thus we have kind of the reputation of being a site that you go to receive a more professional news, articles, and all your information that you want to know about Zelda. People seem to come to us to find it. So, great on resumes. I've used it myself to get the current job that I have, which isn't great, but it was a factor in me getting the job. I was actually asked about what I did for the site in my job interview. So it is something that that when you apply for jobs, it is something that you can put on there. Even though it's volunteer work, it's a little bit beyond what normal volunteer work like helping out at the soup kitchen would be. Outside of that, it's just personal gratification. Working, to give you an example, I'm spread super thin at the site. I do a little bit of everything right now. And, in trying to push things forward, I do get bored, I do get tired, and sometimes I'm completely disinterested because of my job, my actual full time job. I work Monday through Friday. And that doesn't change the fact that I get a lot of gratification out of the work that I do, and that is why I want to keep working for the site, and that is why I think some of our staff that keeps working for the site wants to keep working for the site. Uh, Basically, in everything that we do at ZeldaInformer.com, we like to bring smiles to people's faces because those smiles bring smiles to our faces. And while we are a bit more of a more mature sort of Zelda site in that we do allow swearing on our forums. Sometimes we'll even swear in these video logs. We have sometimes our humor is a little for more mature audiences, and occasionally we post pictures of good-looking women for really no reason other than the fact that hey, they're good-looking women. Sorry, females. um, but I mean, the bottom line is that personal gratification is why we do what we do. And basically, when you do a job well done at anything in your life, you should feel good about yourself. And when I write an article or create a content guide, um, and I see that there's people out there that are appreciating what I'm doing, it makes me feel great. It gives me a sense of accomplishment. People play games sometimes to win achievements, earn achievements, and do crazy stuff. Well, the achievement for me is because I'm making people and helping people in terms of enjoying the Zelda series. It makes me feel better about myself because I'm doing something that people enjoy using and looking at and reading. And that's kind of what we hope to provide at ZeldaInformer.com. So, how do you apply? It's really simple. You can email me at nathan@zeldainformer.com. Basically, just say staff application, what you want to do, some experience you might have, if any, and some samples of your work. You could also go to zeldainformer.com and use our contact form, which you can find on the right side. It's that little email, little mail letter icon. And outside of that, you can say something in the comments here on YouTube, I guess, or the comments on Zelda Informer. Although be aware, if you don't leave any way for us to get a hold of you, then we can't get a hold of you for a job. So really, you could do it. You could also private message Nathan. That's my forum username on Zelda Informer. You can send us a message on YouTube here. If you're like an LPer and you want to, put your work on our channel. Stuff like that. So that's how you could apply. And I apologize that this is really long. I like to ramble and ramble and ramble, and this is why I don't frickin' do video logs very often. Yeah. Peace.